Hey everyone, I'm Laura from Cherubs Chalks Interiors. Welcome to my channel where today I'm going to show you my latest upcycle. This one was pretty unique to start with, so I thought I'd give it a unique makeover. Here's how it came to me. I bought this one for £15 on eBay, so it was a real bargain. And with its unusual shape, I was excited to do something a little bit different with it. I had thought about leaving some of the wood grain exposed, but as you can see it's a veneered wood and it's not in the best shape, so that's all going to need covering up. The first job is to give this a really good scrub, so I'm using some white lightning mixed up in a spray bottle and I'm just going to give this a really good clean. As always, once it's clean I'm going to rinse off with some plain water to get rid of any white lightning residue. Now I'm not a huge fan of these handles, so I'm going to change them for something else. This means I need to fill in those handle holes. Firstly, I'm going to tape off the back of the holes using some masking tape. This will stop the filler from coming through into the drawers. Now I've got my filler, which can be bought at any hardware shop. I'm going to squeeze this into the holes and then smooth off with a spatula. Now I'm going to give the entire piece a good scuff sand. I always use a 120 grit for this process, and this can be done by hand if you don't have an electric sander. Now it's time to give it another quick clean, just to get rid of any sanding dust. I'm now going to prepare my base coat. I'm going for Palmetto, which is a gorgeous deep green, and I'm going to mix this with some sea spray as I want a really textured base coat. I never follow any particular ratios when mixing the sea spray with the paint. I just go by eye, as I normally want a different consistency depending on the project. I've not gone too thick with this mixture today, as for the end result I want to be able to smooth this out. I'm going to apply this with a premium chip brush using a cross-hatch technique. I'm applying it really thickly, running the brush in all types of different directions, creating random raised brush strokes. Don't worry if this looks too textured for you to begin with, because you can always smooth this out later on once it's dry. Now whilst that's drying, I'm going to prep for later on. I'm going to use a mixture of two different transfers for the final effect, so I'm going to get these out and cut up all of the different sections. The two transfers that I've chosen are super floral and they're going to go together so nicely. I always think that by mixing two different designs you're going to get a really unique finish. I cut the transfers up into as many different sections as possible. This means that you can build it all up on the piece and make it your own. Okay, so we're going to whiz through this part, as this was actually a bit of a mistake. I originally had decided that the top colour was going to be Mason-Dixon Grey. I actually then reconsidered once it was dry, as I didn't feel that it was the right shade for the piece. So here you can see me sanding a lot of it off, getting back to that Palmetto colour underneath. However, I do actually think that in the end this worked out quite well, as you can see both colours peeking through and they look great together. I then decided that Weeping Willow was so much better for the main colour, so I painted 2 coats of this all over. Again, I'm applying this in a really random crosshatch effect, as I want to keep up with the textured look. Once this was dry, I sanded again for a real rustic vibe and to show those colours from underneath. And then we start with creating the transfer design. I'll now work on building up all of the different transfer sections to create a wild garden effect. Using the transfer tool provided in the pack, I'm going to burnish this onto the painted piece. I will then use a knife around the areas where the drawers open to cut the transfer smoothly. I will then continue to burnish this on, and once it has all adhered, I will start to remove the clear transfer sheet. Although I've sped the video up, I'm actually working quite slowly, making sure that all of the transfer has stuck before removing this. If there are any areas that haven't quite adhered properly, you can just continue working over them with the burnishing tool until they are stuck properly to the piece. This is always my favourite part of the project, building this up to your own unique design. I love how you can just create something completely different each time. This is looking so pretty already. Once all of the transfer is on, you'll want to seal this all in for protection. I'm using the flat clear coat and my blue sponge, and I'm simply just going to wipe this all over, making sure to work in the same direction to avoid any streaks. I just want to add a touch more age and dimension, so I'm going to apply some Best Dang Waxing Brown to some areas to make it appear more worn and rustic. I'm going to wipe this on using a sponge, and then I'll use a different sponge to blend this out. The plan is to make this look authentically aged. And so here we have it, the final look. I told you it was going to be a one-off, and I think it looks amazing. I'm so glad that I changed my mind on the colour, as I think that the Weeping Willow goes perfectly with those transfers. Thank you so much for joining us for this video. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. If you'd like to see more of our work, you can subscribe here on our channel, or you can find us on all of the social media platforms at Cherubs Chalks Interiors. I'd love to know what you think of this makeover, so please leave a comment letting us know. I also opted to pull out some of the purple from the flowers and paint the interior in this shade, which I think is a great contrasting colour. That's it for now, folks. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.